Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at setting up and working with our air conditioning control and programming found in our Link G5 and G4X systems. Now we have two different options for programming our air conditioning control. We have a basic and a full option. Most of the G4X plug and play files that we have provided from Link, they're meant to run a stock vehicle for the plug and play box that they're intended for. Most of those are going to have air conditioning in the vehicle, and the Link will run the AC, but it's going to be doing it in a basic control format. We can get more specific with our control in our full option for AC controls we're going to take a look at here and base things around AC pressure as well as AC evaporator temperature, and then make a little bit more sense once we get into that programming. So let's jump in here and let's take a look at what we have for our programming to make sure that the air conditioning control is going to work correctly if you have a G4X, making sure that your fan is going to kick on when the AC kicks on so that you're not going to get any overheating problems. So lots of little details here you want to make sure is correct. So let's jump in right now and take a look at this. Let's move from our basics page and we're going to go all the way over to a page labeled chassis. We're going to use our layout and we're going to jump all the way down here, last option, chassis. Now in here, I'm going to be building this page out as we go through the next few tutorials. This is currently just set to take a look at our AC clutch control. This is turning on the AC clutch to turn on the AC compressor, to allow it to charge and build up the pressure and allow the system to start to cool down the air coming into the vehicle. So we're going to go here to our mode. And again, I just mentioned this, we have two different options, basic and full. Basic is just that. It's very simple in its control. Full gives us more capability to base the system around evaporator temperature and our AC high pressure. Let's go to basic and let's just take a look at this. This is what you'll find on, again, most all of the plug and play base files for G4X. Because this is G4X and G5 course, I'm just covering all the options we have for programming. So let's look at the most basic options we have here and just understand what they mean and what they do. All right, so the first thing is we have to assign an output for controlling the AC compressor, and that's going to be that clutch. So we're going to assign an aux output. Now, depending on the vehicle, depending on how things are wired, you do typically have a relay that's going to go between the Link and the AC compressor clutch to be able to turn the AC compressor on. It's too much switching load for the ECU to handle. So in an OEM vehicle, there's typically going to be a relay and a fuse assembly signed for the task of allowing that switching function to happen. Let's assume that's already in place. We're choosing an output to assign for that control to turn the AC clutch on, again, to allow the AC compressor to kick on and start to charge up. Now we also have here to assign the active state, whether it's going to be a low side output or a high side output. If we're going to be going and working with a relay between the Link and the AC clutch, it's typically going to be a low side output. So that activates the relay, and then the relay sends power to the AC clutch. So I'm going to use a low side and assume it's going to be a low side output. AC request. This is where we have to assign for a digital input. It could also be a CAN input. If we go down here, there's some CAN options. Lots of different things we have to choose from here. What I'll do right now is just assign it to a digital input. I'm going to use digital input 3 here. I have a switch that we can work with, and it's going to be on my dash. In this case, my switch is going to be a ground toggled switch. So I go push the switch, it's going to ground the pin digital 3. And when I let go of the switch, it's going to unground it. I could have 12 volt going into the digital input. So 12 volt into the switch, 12 volt then to the digital input pin. In that case, the configuration is a little bit different. So what I need to have for my ground toggled switch AC request, when I push the button, I want AC to actually work and start to function. In the ground type of switch, it'll be pull up resistor on, active state low. If I'm sending 12 volt into the digital input switch, we'll set this to off, and then we'll set our activation state to high. Now, in my case, I have a momentary button I'm working with. I don't have a toggle switch. So I push the momentary button, I want the system to work. And then if I push the button again, I want it to turn off. That's typically how most buttons are going to be on a dash for AC requests to turn the AC on. We're actually going to use our input latching function here. So we're going to go ahead and turn my momentary button into a latching button, like an on-off toggle. I'm going to turn this on here. And then we can do a test and actually see how this is working. If we go here and let's just do a quick Control S and store this to the ECU. If we jump up here to to tuning and into runtime values, if we're in our aux functions, we're going to see here we have our status request. We have inactive. We see our status request off. AC clutch is off. Pressure, evaporator, temperature, they're all zeroed out. Nothing's happening with those. If I turn the button, or I push the button, the momentary button in my case, that's going to latch it on. And we can see it's active. If I hit that button again, just touch that momentary button, that turns it off. We can see then the AC clutch is off. So switch is working. We see there's a clutch delay, then the clutch is engaged, and it's going to stay engaged as long as the button's depressed. If I go ahead and push it again, that turns everything off. We see the AC clutch does then turn off. Okay, so now we have a few additional things to work through here in our programming. That's going to be our clutch off runtime, off value, and clutch delay. Now let's talk about our clutch off runtime. This is pretty easy to understand. So we have our clutch off runtime in our list. We have TPS main, map pressure, injection duty cycle, and APS main. What this is saying here is that when we exceed the value that we program here for our clutch off value, when we get above that, that's when the air conditioning system is going to turn off, regardless if we have our request switch turned on, and technically it should be running. This is essentially bypassing the system under this specific condition. Normally, we're going to be choosing either TPS main for a cable-driven throttle body, or drive-by-wire, we'll use APS main. Now, I'm drive-by-wire, so I'm going to use APS main. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.